So Life Lessons TV, look, it's going to be sort of, I think, a little bit edgy. I think it's going to be a little bit off the cuff. I'm letting you know now that once I get excited about a topic, I might swear a little bit. I might let a couple of curses go. So it's one of those things where I think I just want things to be kind of real. Okay, I think you're really going to enjoy this interview that I have today because it really takes a bit of a twist and turn as to how people start with their lives. You know, the things that go wrong, there's always seems to be a catalyst to people's personal development and self-development in life. And what I think I truly love about this interview is I got to go deep and tap into some really beautiful and not so nice stories, but beautiful in the end. In retrospect, it was a way of them finding their way through life, discovering themselves and each other through personal development. So stay tuned for episode 24 of Life Lessons TV with Jess and Shane Fozard. Hey guys, Adrian here. Welcome to Life Lessons TV, episode number 24. And I'm joined today by the lovely Shane and Jess Fozard. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure to get to know you guys. And for those of you who don't know, we've known each other for quite some time.
Yeah.
But in this digital space, it's really weird, hey, like you know someone and you feel like you're really connected and you know them really, really well. You kind of never met.
Yeah,
and we only got the chance to meet at the last. When did we do Brendan Bouchard? Do you remember?
2014.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm not sure what month it was.
It was early February something. Yeah, I think. So 2014 was when we found out we're at the same event.
Yeah.
And then it was November 2016 that we met.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't know if people will get this because I've only had this in a couple of scenarios. There's a gentleman that I've known in a previous life as a real estate agent, and I knew him in real estate for 8 or 9 years, and we met for the first time last year in Perth.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Right. And the thing is like what I'm leading to is when I met you guys, it was like bro high fives and hugs. You know what I mean? Well, we're strangers really when you think
we're
about.
Good old friends.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, which is just I think it's a testament to this online world and how familiar people can get to each other. So anyway, it's just really, really great to meet you and do some training with you, and then also to have you here on the show because you guys have got fascinating stories. So how about you tell the listeners like who you are, what you do, and maybe we can just sort of share a story or two from each of you.
Sure. Well, obviously I'm Shane and this is Jess, my wife. And so we run Australian Success Academy. And I guess our mission, our purpose is to show people that some of the challenges they face can be quite rapidly resolved and overcome by just changing their mindset, by changing their environment, and then showing them how they can improve their wealth and then also their relationship as well. And that's really a lot the underpinning principles of all the things that we teach people because it changed our life so much.
Really, the quality of your life is dictated by the quality of your mindset. So that's why mindset is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of segues into a really good topic, which I want to try and extract as much juice out of you guys today as possible in the short period of time that we got. So to me, self-development, any sort of personal development, self-development path, there tends to be a catalyst. And there's little, milestones, if you will, that happen within your life that in hindsight you go, yeah, I know exactly what happened now, The world has a funnier way of, at that time, it's, what is it? Like a gift just wrapped up in shitty paper,
Yeah.
So you're like, I understand that was a crappy time, but if it wasn't for that time, then none of these other things, would have happened.
Totally.
So can you share with me perhaps something that, maybe you don't talk about in seminars or anything like that, that you feel in retrospect is like, that's the moment that made me shift, or that's the moment that made me think, I've got to change, or there's something more. Does that make sense?
Well, it's a story that I tell from stage because it's a story it's probably the pinnacle of my life that was that turning point. And it was when, it was before I met Jess, and I come from a long history of not being involved in personal growth whatsoever. None of my friends or family members were ever the sort of people to go out and seek new information. We all came from this paradigm, which is as soon as you finish school, as soon as you finish university, you're done with learning, and then you go out and get a job. And it wasn't until I got to my late 20s that I was in a lot of pain. And when I say pain, I was drinking a lot, I was smoking a lot, and my life wasn't going the way I had expected it to go. And when I looked around at all my friends, they were all doing the same things. And whilst I was comfortable, I sort of woke up this one morning with a hangover and realizing that the last 6 months, my life really hadn't progressed. And I was in pain, obviously physical pain with a hangover, but also that emotional pain. I was single, here I was about to hit 30, and I was basically living in squalor, for lack of a better term. And it was like, what's going on? Something has to shift. And so I just remember picking up the laptop and just going looking for something, some sort of answer, and stumbled across a personal growth course and thought, well, what have I got to lose? It was actually a hypnosis course, and I'm like, does it really work? Is it just sort of mind control? But I thought, well, what have I got to lose? Yeah, I've got maybe a weekend to lose. Fortunately, I thought, well, I'll go along to it, had an open mind, and at the end of that course, after learning hypnosis and using it on myself, I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I stopped eating McDonald's, and that was just in 2.5 days. And I'm like, wow, like, what else don't I know that is going to allow me to get faster results in my life? And it was just that question of what if there was something else I could learn that's going to, it's going to take my life to that next level. And that was
what were you doing at that time?
I was working in corporate, so I was a national sales and operations manager for a car insurance company. So I was managing a team of about 43 staff. So that was really what I was doing. And it was easy, it was effortless. I got to a point where I was turning up in jeans and t-shirts, and I was a little bit of a punk rocker back then. I had a bit of a mohawk and piercings.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, exactly, right. That was a completely different version to who I am right now.
Absolutely.
And so I was really comfortable. I was really super comfortable. I was earning 6 figures. Everything was comfortable, but it wasn't fulfilling. And I was just spending as much money as I was making. I was surrounded by friends. I could have kept on doing it. It could have been the easiest option would have been to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I'd probably be still doing that now, and I'd still be in pain. And I definitely wouldn't have the amazing wife that I have, and the business that we have. And so, as you were saying, there are those gifts that are wrapped up in shit paper, and it really was. It was that things don't happen to you; they happen for you. And so I had to get into that much pain in order to look for something different. Like I was struggling. I wasn't depressed. I was okay. I could have gotten by, but it was just like I was hungry for more. And I realized I was slowly killing myself, and something had to shift. Here I was thinking I was a smart guy, but I was doing stupid things, and I was doing them for a long time.
Do you think, before I get to you, Jess, do you think that people find themselves in that sort of situation, and perhaps that they have just, like, what gets people into that kind of funk, and how do they stay there, or how do they consider that normal, do you think, without getting into, like, I don't know, I'm trying to avoid like conspiracy type theories or anything like that, or institutionalized sort of things, but it's like, what's your perception of why that is? Because I see a lot of people just on the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
So it's almost like this matrix situation where I'm I literally want to fucking shake them and go, you're looking at the pavement the whole time. There's blue skies, there's happy days, and I can just see you motoring through life, not oblivious to what's going on.
Yep.
What was it for you? I mean, you had that moment. Sorry to interrupt, but you had that moment of, like, fuck, man, I'm drinking myself silly, and I'm smoking, and I'm doing all this stuff that's toxic to my body.
Yep.
And then there was just dead ends, for your future, unless you did something about it.
Yeah.
But what do you think of societies,
Well, I think society, and I'd say majority of people are out there and they're struggling. And I used to be one of those people. And I think it's because it's easier to stay in your comfort zone. I think, the comfort zone is a part of that, which is, if I just lower my expectations on life, that means I don't have to really put in too much effort, and I can just keep doing what I'm doing. And so I think the comfort zone people get get really comfortable with it, and they lower their expectations. They don't really expect much more. I also think another layer to that is that people believe that things happen to them, that they're a victim of circumstance, that there's no other way of being. This is just how it is. And I think more and more people now are starting to wake up and realise that, hang on, there could be a different way to live my life. And actually, I can't sit there and wait for this pot of gold to drop out of the air. I'm not going to keep buying lottery tickets and hope that one day I'm going to win lottery. I'm not going to look for that knight in shining armour to just sweep me off my feet and just take away my problems. Yeah. It's actually me. It starts with me, and I have to take action today. And it's going to be a long journey to get there, but it's better than just sitting in my funk and for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it might be. Sure. And I also think that because of the pain that people feel, it's almost like a death by 1,000 paper cuts. Right. It's like, even with like cancer, you don't feel cancer building up in you. You don't feel heart disease building up in you. It just, just a little bit of fat on your heart that builds up over 20 years, 30 years, and all of a sudden it's too much, and your heart gives out. And so I think that's the same sort of thing, is that we're in a little bit of pain, but it's enough to deal with. There's a little bit more, and it just builds until we're like, man, I can't take it anymore. Something's got to shift. Some people may not get to that because it's like, oh, well, I've got a lot of pain, so maybe if I just reduce my expectations, I won't feel so much pain. Right. It's like if you want more out of life and you're not getting there, you'll experience that cognitive dissonance around, oh, it's not working. My life conditions doesn't equal my map. I wish I was a movie star right now, but I'm not. Oh, that sucks. Or I wish I was a millionaire, but I'm not. Oh, that sucks. As opposed to going, you know what? I'll never be a millionaire. I'll just change my map. I'm always going to be poor.
Lower my standards.
I'll lower my standards. Sure. And therefore I'm not going to feel so conflicted. Yeah. That's just how it is. I just resort to the fact.
Your goals and you never achieve them, so you never be upset.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then they create stories like, oh, money doesn't mean anything to me. People place too much emphasis on money, or people put too much emphasis in a relationship, or people put too much emphasis on health. Or you're too much of a gym junkie, or you're too focused on health, or you're eating like a rabbit, and so there's you're not living enough if you're doing those sorts of things, and so people will then justify it with stories, and they'll legitimise why their model of the world is most appropriate. And I say to people, if it works for you, keep doing it. I'm not there to judge people. I'm not there to say, well, you should live your life my way. It's more about going, well, whatever your goals are, whatever your true goals are, and everyone knows their absolute truth, the things that are really going to fulfill them, the things that if they dream about what their life could be, they may not say it to anyone, but they kind of have these dreams as to what life could be like. Yeah. And so when they're honest with themselves, then if they just strive towards that, then there's a good chance they'll achieve it. But some people will just pull back on those expectations.
All right, so I'll pause you there because I think that's a really, really good point to talk about Jess. But I want to ask you another question.
Sure.
It's funny because so we just did this your relationship success course. So I ramp up tons and tons of questions through the weekend.
Yep.
And every time I got an answer from you, I'd always have 8 other questions lined up in the barrel, like ready to go. And it's happening again. Yep. So anyway, let's talk about Jess. So I guess the initial question was, there's the catalyst to self-development. So what I love about you two is that you're on this path together, you're on this journey together. And then there's different ways that you've discovered not only personal development, but each other through personal development, Yeah. So, do you want to share a story or something that you think is the point or that shift?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fascinating how sometimes it doesn't need to be something that's large. I mean, anyone who's been to our courses and you yourself know that I share that I was sexually abused at 13. But that's not when I started personal growth. It wasn't actually until I was doing year 12 that I was struggling, and someone came up to me and said, look, I think you need to go to a doctor because I think you're depressed. And that was a peer that I didn't even really have any interaction with. So if someone who I hardly knew was saying that, I looked into it. And unfortunately, I was diagnosed with depression by the doctor and given meds. And I told my mum, who had also experienced depression. And I'm the oldest of 7, so there's a lot of kids when I was living at home. And I was trying to do my year 12 homework whilst being on depression meds in the kitchen on the table. And my brothers were running, because it was one of those awesome houses where you could do a full lap of the house and not have to go back. You could go all the way around. So they were playing chasey, looping, and they kept bumping me. I couldn't concentrate. And I've just gone to my mum, can you ask the boys to go play chasey outside? And she wasn't having a very good day. And fortunately, what she said to me was, I'm not going to ask my kids to change just because you're crazy. And that was a sentence she doesn't even remember saying, but it happened for me, as you're talking about things happening for us. And in that very moment, I walked into my bedroom, grabbed out the depression meds because they were not doing anything apart from making me feel numb. And I took them outside and I stomped on them and I was like, there has to be a better way. Because how can you go through life hating life? Like, that is not a life. Right. There has to be a way to learn to love life. So for me, that was the first step into personal growth. But then I became 18 and I started following the herd and doing what everyone else does, which is go out drinking. And I fell into this unfortunate cycle, which is quite interesting that we both did, even though we were in separate states, of drinking every weekend. And it wasn't until I was staggering into a bathroom, not really aware of my surroundings and struggling to even work out where the cubicle was, that I had asked myself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I drinking to this point? Why am I drinking full stop? And the answers were quite clear. I was trying to escape. I was trying to escape from my life. I was trying to escape from reality. I was trying to create an alternate reality where I could be happy for a night, a weekend. And that, for me, those 2 points, even though they seem like really small moments, that's what catapulted me into the life I have now. Like, I stopped drinking altogether at the age of 20. Like, who does that? Sure. I'd drunk a lot before then, so I think I filled my quota. But, you know,
You have a small quota.
compared to some. But I could see how addiction was ruining people's lives, and that I had to be real with myself that was every weekend drinking was an addiction for me. Like, that was not giving me a quality of life I wanted. So that's when I then really started to take personal growth seriously and started going out and doing as many courses as I possibly could and reading books and listening to, well, I don't think podcasts were a thing back then, but listening to audios and right? When you used to have a Walkman.
So old. Can I ask you a question? Let me know if it's too personal. So I'm interested to know about the time between doing HSC and depressed, and then the the medications and things like that. So, I mean, that is something that's really rampant amongst teenagers and adolescents and just young adults. Adults, I mean, like, you can't discriminate, right?
No.
And I've done a fair bit of work in recent months with trainers and coaches that specialise in mental health and things. So what was that period like for you? I mean, can you, I mean, I've had down days, I've had moments where I've been, I guess you could say, depressed for weeks or for days, or, but it's not that real deep depression. So I want to get understanding from you, especially as a woman. Like, what was that like for you? What was going through your head? What was, if you don't mind me, you don't have to go into the minutiae, but you know what I mean? Like, what was happening at that time?
I think when you say AHC, you mean school, right? Because
Yeah,
in South
year 12.
Australia,
Year
it's
12.
SACE. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
year
cool.
12.
It sucked, honestly. Like, when you, because at that point I had my license, and when you're driving home and thinking, you know what, it's just going to be easier if I run myself into that Stobie pole, which is what they are in Adelaide. I think
Light
here
pole.
they're called light poles.
Light pole.
Yep.
But in Adelaide, Stobie
pole.
poles are made out of concrete. So if you hit one, the likelihood of you not coming out of the car is quite high. So yeah, driving home and thinking those thoughts, you don't feel like a good person. You end up crying. You feel like you're failing at just being a human. You're failing at being a daughter. You're failing at doing school and
so
being
young,
what people,
though.
Right? But there's so many expectations.
Yeah.
So many expectations.
Like, so you're 24, right?
Now, I'm 29.
Yeah?
But yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, look, just a hot tip. If you're ever going to ask a lady's age, you have to go at least 20, 30% younger than
Right.
what you think. Anyway, so this is 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, but still, when you talk in terms of, say, social media, like, non-existent.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You know, when you talk in terms of other influences that could impact. So was this stress at high school? Was it home stuff? I mean, you mentioned obviously some unfortunate events happening when you were 13? Is it a stacking of a whole heap of things?
I would definitely say it was a stacking of a whole heap of things. Like the sexual abuse at 13 meant that I had a feeling that I wasn't worthy moving from 13 to 18. So that was just compiled. Like I was not a popular kid at school. I was usually the one that was picked on, if anything. Like I had one student come up and punch me because I had the same name as a dog. Like that didn't make sense to me, but like things would just happen and then at home, my mum she's an amazing woman, like trying to raise 7 children. At the time, I think it was 6, and I'm pretty sure my youngest brother was just born. So I would go home and my mum would then go to work at night shift, and I would be in charge of looking after my new baby brother, as well as, helping look after the other children, and which I love because now I feel quite confident when we are around children, or when we do have children. At least I know how to change a nappy, yay.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was
very qualified.
I think it was just an accumulation of everything, and really I wasn't looking at me and how I could heal myself. I was always trying to live up to someone else's expectation, and if I just met your expectation, that wasn't enough. I had to exceed it for me to feel good. Like if you wanted me to get a B in maths and I got a B, I felt like I failed. I needed to get an A or an A+. I needed you to go, wow, and be impressed.
So where does that come from?
Who knows? I think it was, for me, I'm like we've done Tony Robbins courses, and that came up as my primary question. That's what I used to ask myself a lot, is how can I exceed people's expectations so that they'll like me, or so I can impress them? And I was forever trying to exceed. And,
To be liked?
To be liked, to be loved, to be accepted. Tony talks about that being one of our biggest needs, is to feel like we're accepted for who we are. And yet I was trying to just be everything everyone wanted me to be and more. And fortunately, I got to eventually learn it's never gonna happen. I love that quote that you can be the peachiest, most ripest, peachiest. You can be the juiciest, most ripest peach in the world. There's still gonna be people who don't like peaches.
Gotcha.
So that I had flawed programming. Like my wiring in my mindset was trying to exceed everyone else's expectations, trying to juggle all these different things, and I wasn't just looking at who I wanted to be for me, which is understandable. At what point in growing up as a child do you get taught not to do things for other people, to see where do you want to go in your life? Because no matter what you want to be, we're going to love you no matter what. I went through school and it was, you better be getting A's.
Really?
Yeah, you better be getting A's. You better be coming home with A's. And I was a straight A student because of it. So it worked.
Yeah.
And not in that last year, because it just all became too much. Like I was trying to find out who I was. And you go from going through the system and being a child who's getting taught maths and English to someone who needs to work out who you are and what are you doing in this world, and can you do things because it's fulfilling for you as opposed to what you've been told is right and wrong.
Could that have also come about because you come from a very non-traditional family dynamic as well, where your parents were split up?
Yeah.
And
I think that's pretty traditional now.
Yes,
No.
yes. But it's not the nuclear sort of family as
Yeah.
such.
I think what I get from that is we kind of have this invisible standard that is either raised by external forces in some way, so whether it be society, mum, dad, some influential person, or yourself, to just never be enough. One of the things that in my short life, the evolution of where I feel like I've come to personally and spiritually is just how much we as a society desire everything. And then when you get everything, it's like, no, I want everything else. It's just never enough. And we're always comparing, and we're always, going, well, that's the home, and then if that guy's that car, or this is the lifestyle. And particularly with social media, it's very dangerous, because everyone can be this fucking awesome human being online, and like their highlights reel just looks like it's dead set out of the Kardashians, show.
Yeah.
but we know that behind the scenes it's a house of cards.
Yeah.
But internally, that is suffering, isn't it? Like you're just always leading to suffering because there's never a point where the horizon's always, it's always beyond you, isn't it? It's never attainable. That's my interpretation. I think, I don't know, would you say that for younger people especially that don't have, not equipped with emotional intelligence, maybe they've got mums and dads who have just been taught to work their asses off and you know, go to work and you know, everyone beats their chest around, I worked 80 hours. Like I come from a real estate background, right? So it's just a massive dick measuring contest, you know? Everyone's like, oh, I got home at 10 o'clock, you know? And I was like, if you got 2 kids, man, you're a fucking dick. Why are you getting home at 10 p.m? You didn't give your kids or your wife a kiss goodnight. This is terrible. But we had this like, I'm a hero if I work 100 hours this week, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's the separation between achievement and fulfillment. And the achievement is there's always more to achieve. There's always more to achieve. There's always more. Like if you become, if you get to 6-figure income, you want to now get to, you know, $250,000. You get to $250,000, $500,000. So there's always more money to be made. And then I think some people, even with fitness, it's like, well, I've gotten to this level of fitness, how can I push it more? Now, I'm not necessarily saying they are bad things, but that's kind of like that sense of achievement. There's always another level. There's always another level. Whereas I think fulfillment is more about, you might just get fulfilled by growing some veggies in your backyard. And you sit there and you look at that and you go, that's awesome. I feel really good. I've got some food. I feel a little bit self-sustainable. You know, I've nurtured that myself and I feel really good about that. You might feel fulfillment from raising kids, fulfillment from knitting little dolls to send to Africa, whatever it might be. And so I think that's where, well, one of the things that we've learned was that you have the science of achievement. There's certain things you do to achieve, but then there's that art of fulfillment. No one can tell you what's going to fulfill you. You can only decide what's going to fulfill you. And it's about trying to understand the separation between the two. You ideally want both because you don't just want to achieve, and that's where you see all these celebrities and their life sucks for them. They've got plenty of achievement, you know, like for example, Robin Williams is a classic case. You know, you got all these, and there's been, you know, recent, there was like a female TV celebrity from Sydney that just, you know, she committed suicide, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Yeah, and so she had a sense of achievement, but yet fulfillment was not there. And so she was suffering. And it's that kind of, you know, you don't want to be a rich poor man, which is you've got a lot of money, but you don't spend it. So you don't actually have any experiences to stop and smell the roses from time to time. And maybe that's where there is a bit of social pressure put on people to achieve, work hard, you know, get to that next level, keep going to that next level. You know, we're you know, I guess to argue a little bit is that, you know, there is that sort of focus on material possessions. You know, what car do you drive? What watch do you have? What suburb do you live in? How big's your house? And that's kind of like, that leads people to feel a certain way. They're not necessarily chasing those material possessions, they're chasing how it makes them feel. And so there's a quicker way to get those feelings. And you get those feelings by fulfillment. So I think it's helping people make that realization that you can be fulfilled today if you truly find what lights your fire.
Okay, that's an interesting point, Jess. So what's your version of, like, why do people struggle to find fulfillment? So is the world skewed towards achievement, and so people are missing the fulfillment part? So I've got this, I don't think I've actually released this part of what I've said in a training. So I've got this thing in my mind where, let's say for example, we were to go to approach an Inca, right? Some elderly, wisest human being on earth, right? Who is purely in the moment, has learnt to live and appreciate and love, and everything is not like I'm achieving stuff, it's enjoyment and total fulfillment.
Yep.
If we were to explain our lives and the suffering we go through to achieve the things that we do, they would look at us with like, are you mad, right? Why would you inflict so much pain upon yourself when this is like so easy? So I say that to kind of, I'm trying to extract from you like why do people miss the fulfillment part? Like, why is that so hard? Because the achievement part is like, I want more money. So whether that is 50,000, 100,000, $1 million, whatever that may be, that's fine. I want this car. That's easy to identify. But fulfillment is like, how do you measure that?
Exactly.
And where do you go to fucking find it? So it's like,
Exactly.
is that in a store that we can go to?
No.
Is there a shop that sells fulfillment? Because I would like some, you know, I heard it's good. So
It is very good.
yeah. So
But-
what's your take on that?
For me, if you have a look at every generation, we're learning from our parents, and our parents are doing the best they can, and they're learning from their parents, and they're learning from their parents, and it's been passed down from generation to generation that you work hard. You worked 80 hours this week, you came home at 10 p.m, that's amazing. You're earning money to provide for your family. And it became this measurement that everyone all of a sudden seems as an awesome measurement. Whereas, and hopefully your listeners as well as the people around this table know that that does take away from the fulfillment in your life. Like, if you're working that hard for not that much money to buy back your time, to be able to spend with family, then what are you doing? And just like you said, the wise people will be like, why are you doing this? But achievement's measurable, whereas fulfillment, like you said, isn't measurable. And so how do you go out there and be like, yeah, my life's great, I'm so fulfilled? And people, you know, yeah, but how much did you earn this year? You know, it's just become such a scoreboard of life. And unfortunately, fulfillment didn't seem to make the scoreboard
Doesn't
of
even
that
register.
everyone's
Yeah.
But you'll see, well, I know for us at least, it is that balance between the two. For us it is, or for me, I speak on your behalf, that it's about using achievement for fulfillment, not just focusing on achievement. Well, it's like if you want to earn more money, it might be to earn more money so you can be a stay-at-home dad and skateboard your kids to school. As opposed to earn more money so that you can be like, yeah, I earn $1 million a year or whatever it might be. So,
Or
you
buy
know,
a more expensive car and a more expensive house, then you have to earn more money to pay it off.
yeah. So if it's earning money to take your family on holiday so that you can spend that time with them, being present and going on adventures, like to me, when we go on adventures around the world, that's so fulfilling. It's one of my favorite times of my life because I get to have such an intimate experience with my husband and I get to see culture around the world. It's incredible. Without money, it wouldn't be as easy, and I'm not a fan of camping, so I would prefer to go in hotels. And so it's using that achievement for the fulfillment as opposed to for the sake of having a number on a scoreboard.
I was just going to add to that, which Jess made a really good point, is I think achievement is a scoreboard and fulfillment is your passion and your purpose. And so if you think about one way to find what it is going to fulfill you is you understand what am I passionate about and what's my purpose? Yeah, what do I want to be known for at the end of my life? What sort of eulogy do I want people to deliver for me? And that's really going to tell you what's most important to you in life. And so why do we, I've been coaching one guy who spends 3 days a week away from his family just to try to get a certain income coming through. But his purpose and his passion is his family. It's like, man, why is that extra 50 grand a year worth not being there for your kids 3 days a week, and you're missing out on some of those special moments you can never get back? Yet they're going through a certain age, their first steps, their first goal that they kick. You may not be there for that. All because you're placing that extra $50,000, that extra $100,000, that extra $250,000 above those moments that are priceless, that you'll never get back. And so it's a mismatch of what he's focused on for achievement, but it doesn't actually align with his fulfillment. And I think the more people that can start to realize that, and like I've been there as well, so I know what it's like to have that misalign you. And then sometimes we don't want to give up because like, well, I've invested this much time into it. I just have to keep going because I don't know any other way.
Of course. And sometimes it's so much a part of your identity, you don't want to give away the identity for fear of losing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is my stature. If significance is one of those...
Exactly. I don't want to have to start over
needs,
as well.
Yeah, exactly right, and start again. What would you say, because we've mentioned a lot about achievement, we mentioned a lot about focus on finances and income and things. So what would you say to someone if you were talking? I've got some two questions, right? So because it's been awesome conversation. What this show is life lessons, so I'm picking up like a million so far, so which is great. So, what would be your life lesson? I'm trying to think of, say, a typical person, guy, girl, whatever, family man, woman, mother, husband. You know, they're not on $100,000 a year or even $80,000 a year. I mean, like, they've got a family, so they've got a combined income of like 70 or 80, you know? They're struggling to get ahead. So, and money does matter. Like, you can't say money's not everything, like it is, but it kind of fucking isn't. Like, it isn't and it is. It's like a real tug of war. So what would be your life lesson? What would you pass on to that person? I do want money. I want to provide for my family or myself and achieve things, but I also want fulfillment. I don't want to climb the ladder of success only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. You know, I want to have that passion and meaning and purpose, as well as the success and the accolades that come along with it. Yeah, it's a loaded question, obviously, but I mean, like, what
would I say to people like that? If they're hungry for more money, like you said, money, it's a source of frustration, it's a source of stress, and to look after your health, look after your kids, it's not free. It's going to cost money. So it is just a necessary part of our life. And I would say the advice I would give to people, a life lesson would be, go and find someone that has the life that you want. There's kind of like 1 or 2 levels. You wouldn't necessarily go to, Bill Gates as such. You go to someone who's like 1 or 2 levels above where you are, and try to be around them as much as possible, because your environment is going to influence you. If you want to earn $100,000, well, find someone that's earning $100,000 and try to be around that person as much as possible, because you're going to learn what they think, what they do, and then you should be able to replicate some of that as well, and replicate it without even putting in too much effort, because it's just starts to, I guess, absorb into your being, and you start thinking that same way and you start behaving in that same way. And I'd say find someone that has the lifestyle that you want. So not just money as the only option. It's like, well, the lifestyle, the money, the relationship, the health. Find someone that has that life.
It's going to narrow it down.
It does, it does. It's going to narrow down, and there's not too many options out there. But if you look hard enough and you find that one person, and you're okay, well, or hopefully 1 or 2 or 3 of those people, and try and surround yourself with those people as much as possible, you'll start to become influenced by them. You hang around with 5 people that love drinking, you'll end up drinking as well. You hang out with 5 people that love exercising, you'll start exercising. And so if you hang out with 5 people that have great health, great relationship, and abundance of money, you'll ideally hopefully be that 6th person very quickly as well.
Chances something's going to rub off.
Yeah, it will. Because that's exactly what we did, is we made a conscious effort to find who's that person that has everything. Not just one, because that may come at a cost. We've found people that are really good with their money. They're multimillionaires, but their relationships suck and they don't look after their health. And so that, to me, says they've gotten that at a cost. There's some consequences to that. I want to find someone that has the money, but also has the relationship, that also has the health. I don't want to just find someone that has the money and the relationship, but they're unhealthy. Because I'm like, oh, hang on, maybe to get that, it's come at a cost. I don't want to follow their model. I want to follow someone's model that has it all, because that's what I want.
Sure.
And I believe it's possible. And I've found people that have done it, and we're I guess living proof of that. Our relationship's better than it's ever been. Our health we're the healthiest we've ever been, and we're the most abundant we've ever been as well. So we're on the right path, and we've got that sort of evidence to prove so. So it's...
And more importantly, we're actually enjoying life together.
Yeah.
It's not, that we put in hard work, but it's strategic hard work, and it's hard work that we enjoy. It's not, that effort where you feel drained by the end of it, and you're not taking that time to look after yourself.
It energises.
It's enjoying.
We'll spend 15 hours, 17 hours on stage. At the end of it, like, let's do it again.
Yeah, right.
Because it energises us to share in our passion, and that's really the difference between achievement and fulfilment. If you're just achieving, it can be draining. At the end of the week, you're like, I got to do this again next week. Whereas for us, at the end of the week, we're like, I can't wait till next time.
But what you just explained before would be the majority of the entire population. I got to do this again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's, I guess, what I have coined the phrase, or not so much coined the phrase, but had this sort of thing about there's things that we want to achieve, and there's why do we want to achieve that thing. So it's like your example of the gentleman that wanted to earn money, but he wanted to spend more time with his family, but the thing that he was earning money from is taken away from the family. It's a contradiction.
Yeah.
So he's always going to lead to suffering.
Yeah.
That's tremendous advice.
I think for me,
Hold on a second, can I pause you for a second? Can I ask you a different question?
you can.
Is that all right?
You can.
Look, I honestly think that I would love to hear what you would say to 18-year-old Jess right now. So
Interesting question.
I think that there's a lot of merit to your success and how you've built yourself up together through business, through life, and you've been through things that you just wouldn't wish upon, your worst enemy. But our listeners more, I guess, have a business influence, but there's every day, at the end of the day, behind every screen is a human being, right? So we might do business, but we're still mums, dads, husbands, wives, we're still, people, we're still flesh and bone, we still have feelings, we still go through shit,
Yeah.
Yep.
But because of your history and because of who you are today and what you stand for, what would you say, what would be your life lesson to 18-year-old Jess? What would you say to 18-year-old Jesses out there, or parents who have 18-year-old Jesses out there?
If it was just what am I saying to Jess, it'd be, hang on girl, life's going to be awesome. If it was a life lesson, it really would be looking at, you don't need to repeat your parents' patterns. There is a huge world out there. There is so much information. There are people out there who are loving life. Go out and learn it. Just surround yourself with people or information, whether it's physically around them or whether it's audios or watching movies or documentaries or books, but just surround yourself with everything that you want to move towards. At one point I had positive words written up on my wall because I was like, this is now my sanctuary. I need a happy place and I need to focus on that. So having that space to be able to be what most people would deem crazy because you're going against what everyone else is doing. Being the person in the family that started doing personal growth, I'm crazy.
You're the odd one out.
Right? Being the person who started doing exercise, I'm the odd one out. Being the person who put stuff up on their walls, definitely the odd one out. So be okay with being the odd one out, because I think for parents, it would be love them no matter what and give them a safe space to talk to. I know that's something that I now want to be for anyone, whether they're my children, my brothers, my sisters, anyone who comes to me and wants to talk to me, I want to be there for them. Because sometimes that's all we need, is someone to listen and then just go, you're still awesome. You're going to be even more awesome because of this. Not in spite of this, but because of this. You are going to gain so much from this. Keep going. There's always more. I think, unfortunately, we get to that place of depression or of the end, and you just go, I can't, there's no more. But there is. And you have to believe that there is and choose to know that this is happening for a reason, and you will be so much better because of it. That would be my life lesson.
Amazing. Shane, Jess, thank you so much. It's been an amazing interview. I'm so glad that we got to meet and our paths are crossed. Thank you so much for your time. I know you guys are flying off or driving off soon. So
Yes.
To your next event. It's just been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
There you go, guys. This is Life Lessons TV, episode number 24. I'll see you on the next episode. So Life Lessons TV, look, it's going to be sort of, I think, a little bit edgy. I think it's going to be a little bit off the cuff. I'm letting you know now that once I get excited about a topic, I might swear a little bit. I might let a couple of curses go. So it's one of those things where I think I just want things to be kind of real.